You may know Barbara Kavovit from the Real Housewives of New York City, or as a construction mogul who has taken the world by storm. Today, she's here to talk about her novel, Heels of Steel, a summer read that tells the story of a woman fighting her way to the top of the construction industry. Everyone, please give a warm Bill Bunch welcome to Barbara Kavovit. Hi, thanks for coming on. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hey,
Hi.
how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Hey, welcome.
How you
Hello,
doing?
Barbara.
Hi.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you guys.
I had to look to see if you were wearing heels of steel.
I'm wearing heels of steel and a spray tan, so
Yes.
there you go.
Look amazing.
But not a wrap dress.
No, but maybe later on tonight I will crop, wrap, all good.
I love the wrap dress. Disclosure.
But it's kind of like a little
Kind
bit
of
of
is,
a
a little
wrap.
bit.
You look fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us
Thanks
today.
for having me.
I think this is such a cool concept for your book. I know it's based off your personal story, so how does it feel that people are going to get to read it or inspired by your personal story?
You know, I get emails all the time. I'm in construction. I want to be in construction. You guys, you are such like a force, a pioneer, because I didn't know how to do it. And now I'm kind of paving the way for women to be in this male-dominated field in New York City. And it feels great. I've been doing it for such a long time. And I think it's about time that women get their day in court in a male-dominated field.
Absolutely. And the story is based on a woman named Bridget Steele, and she wants to be the first woman to build a skyscraper.
Yep.
So what parts of her story were actually inspired by your story?
Well, really, most of the book is true.
Okay.
It's based on my story, and I didn't want to write a memoir because, you know, I didn't want to like give it away as far as names, and I didn't want to end up in the Hudson River somewhere.
Yes. You still want to have social life in the Hamptons. I get it.
So I really believe that from my perspective as a woman, to tell the story about how I had to fight the unions, how I had to get rats in front of my buildings when I was working at Bloomingdale's, all of that is really true. And I wanted everyone to know that you don't have to have any resources. I didn't come from any money. I was born and raised in the Bronx. And you can do it just by being passionate about what you love.
Yeah. So you mentioned a lot of the stories are true, which means the characters are probably based off of real people. So what was that process like? Did you have to get permission, or did you just go for it?
No, that's what's great about writing a novel. You can just write your heart out, you know? I mean, if you read the book, Jason is a love interest, and he's a competitor in the book. And we end up competing to build this skyscraper. And is it between, you know, do you want the love, or do you want to, you know, be successful in business?
Like You've Got Mail.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, with a twist.
Yeah, definitely.
With a twist,
Way
like a
cooler
wrench,
twist.
with a
Yeah.
wrench. And so it was like, it's really exciting to see what this woman chose to do, like against all odds. She went to build the skyscraper.
Yeah.
She was like, screw this, I'm gonna build it, and if you're around when I'm done, I'll pick you up at, you know.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Jason in the book. Why was it important to make the book sexy and romantic as well?
Well, I think, you know, I was trying to skew towards the younger audience, and I think it's important, you know, for women that are just, you know, kind of developing and not sure which way to go. This was really an inspirational book, and I wanted a woman or a young girl to be able to read it and be like, I can do anything I set my mind to do because Bridget Steele did it. So that's why it was, you know, really important.
Yeah. And you've been meeting with producers to potentially turn this novel into a movie.
Yes,
Which would be so exciting.
yeah.
What is that process like? And I'm curious, who in an ideal world would you have play Bridget?
That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. Well, I just got back from LA, and we met with movie producers and different, you know, production companies, and it seems like it will be a TV series in the very near future.
Wow.
And everybody asks me the same thing: who do you want to play Bridget Steele? And I say the same thing: Jennifer Lopez.
Hey, but no joke, I was just gonna suggest that I can see it.
Yes,
Yeah.
J-Lo.
Yeah.
There's nobody else. She's from the Bronx. She took the 6 train. You
That
know,
would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
But
Yeah.
she did that movie Second Act, and
That's
right?
right.
And it's like I could see it.
And she played the cop in that other.
Shades of Blue?
Yep, Shades of
She
Blue.
would be perfect
I
for
mean,
this.
And do you remember when she did the video, like, and she was like Jennifer Beal in Flashdance?
Yes.
And
Oh my God.
She was like that iron worker. I
Yes.
mean, she wrote the
Perfect.
part for herself.
I love
so-
yeah.
Totally.
That's perfect.
That
Actually,
is-
we have it sent out to her, so I'm just waiting to hear.
Ooh.
So,
J-Lo,
J-Lo.
you're watching. You're getting a lot of love today.
Manifesting.
Yeah.
thank you.
And in the book, Bridget actually gets asked to build a secret S&M dungeon.
Yeah.
Which is something you've done in real life.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was for a woman, a very wealthy woman in New York City, up on the park somewhere, and and she lived in a gorgeous, 10-room apartment, and she was just very into S&M.
Good for her.
And like 50 Shades of Grey on crack. I mean,
No way.
yeah, and it was behind her bedroom wall, so it was a secret,
Yes.
room, and it had all the bells and whistles, including this swing that we had to reinforce like into the ceiling with a lentil. It was like a piece of steel. So because she was into larger women.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow, this
My-
story keeps getting
You,
better.
you literally go behind closed doors to like
I-
people's intimate parts of their life.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, I've seen so many different sides of how people live. I mean, I did a lot of work for supermodels, way back, when it was the
Yeah.
supermodel era. And I got to see a lot of interesting things.
That's fun.
Oh, that's so wild.
I
I'm
know.
like, where is it? I need to go.
I was thinking of like crashing that party, but
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
Well, the novel's also very honest about, like the sexism in the industry and the corruption. So was it like a little bit nerve-wracking to have to include that part of it?
yeah, but I wanted to make it, and that's why it was so important for me to write the story and nobody else, because it's an authentic story. So, you couldn't just develop a story based on what you think. I based the story and a book on what happened. So, yeah, I mean, to get threatened on a job site by people in the union, that happened. Everything that happened that I wrote about in the book actually happened.
Wow.
So whether it was the unions, whether it was corruption, whether it was me being threatened for my life, there was consistently a sign that said men only, and I had to, create my own way of getting in. So, yeah, it was just true. Everything is really true that happened.
Yeah.
Wow. And when did you first realize you wanted to go into construction? Because I feel exactly like what you said. When you see a sign that's men's only, like I just wouldn't even bring up the confidence to even try. Like it's so intimidating.
Well, I went to SUNY Oswego for college, and after I graduated with a degree in finance, I heard my mom and her friends talk around the table that they wanted people to get things done in their home, whether it was hanging a picture, fixing a leaky faucet. I mean, you guys have all been there where, there's the things that go wrong in your house or your apartment and you don't know how to fix it. So I thought of this great idea for a woman to attract other women instead of going after like the plumber with the
Right.
pants, like the plumber's crack. I was a cute girl, I was spunky. I was like, let me stand outside of a shopping center with business cards and introduce myself and go up to women, and I listed every home improvement, and I said, I can help you with all these different things in your home, and they would call me. And I would try and look in the local paper for like carpenters, electricians, all the tradesmen, and like all of a sudden this little business, and I mean little, blossomed into a $100 million business in New York City.
Wow.
That's so inspiring.
Yeah. Speaking of inspiration, what would you say to young women who are interested in getting into it?
I think nowadays it's so much easier because there are courses out there, there are women's organizations out there, there's so many networking opportunities, and I think, there's people like me that have become pioneers and have forged the way, and I'm constantly trying to answer my messages, my emails, my Instagram, my Twitter, like how do I do it, what do I do? So there's people to give you mentorship and advice and to be there for you. So I always encourage women, like if you want to go into engineering or architecture or construction, like there's definitely an outlet for you to be successful.
Find community.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah,
important.
absolutely.
So we also know you as a cast member of The Real Housewives of New York City. Congratulations on finishing the season. It really was.
Oh my God.
You survived, and it really was one of the best seasons of the entire 11-year run of the show. So congratulations, it was awesome. You came on as Luann's friend, like her ride or die. Do you think that coming on in that capacity kind of forced women to perceive you in a different way, to not let you in as easily because they were like, oh, she's Luann's friend?
Yeah, I mean, I think I didn't know it at the time, but I just did what came naturally. And that is to be like a ride or die. That's who I am. Like, I protect the people I love. And I didn't understand that that was going to create like this separation. You know, I knew Luann was in a lot of trouble when we first started filming. I mean, she was in a very vulnerable position. So I felt like I really needed to protect her. And that's exactly what I did.
Right.
So did it affect my relationships with the other women? Absolutely.
So were you surprised how, and I'm very happy you and Luann kind of came together at the reunion, how upset Luann got at your just little comments at her show? You've been to 8 of her shows. You just said, you know, she's not the best singer, but I love her performances. Were you surprised how mad she got?
Yeah, I mean, I felt that Luann definitely is quick to get so mad at me when I felt like she forgot what I did. And nobody really understood what I did for her, you know, and this is common knowledge, being the power of attorney, having to deal with the attorneys, you know, that was a lot. Basically dropping my business and my life to take care of her. So for her to call me out on that and to be so angry with me, I thought I deserved a pass on that.
Yeah.
Over something that is true.
But yeah, she's a great performer. It's a fun show, but she's not Adele, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, they didn't show the context of it. It was actually not a friend that I was sitting next to. It was my sister.
Oh.
And my sister lives in London, and she is completely out of the housewife. She doesn't know anything.
You're
that's
filling
going
her in.
on.
Yeah.
So I was trying to fill her in, and I brought her to the show, and she's like, "So what kind of show is this?" You know, and they don't tell the whole story. And she's like, "So is it like Adele?"
Right.
You know, like,
Right.
so does she sing like Adele? I'm like, no, you know, and that's when I had to go into it. So
That's a key detail.
That's a key detail they cut out.
yes,
That's
it is a key to, yeah.
So besides Luann, I mean, we watched Ramona just really grill you like no other.
Yeah.
And I mean, she took you shopping. You seemed to really try with her. And even when Miami was, she not disinvited you, not invited you out. How was it dealing with that, dealing with Ramona? And where does your relationship stand with her right now?
Okay, well, first of all, I'll go from your last question forward. I have no relationship with Ramona. I don't know if you saw the clip recently of this past weekend when she was in the Hamptons and she asked one of the housewives from Potomac to come out of the to get out of the picture.
Giselle, I cannot believe she did. Giselle is one of the legends. She has paved her way for the Potomac women.
I mean, so that just shows you what she is like.
Right.
You know, and then she'll smile for the camera. Like nothing's wrong. Like it's just, like what's wrong? Like I literally think that there was an oxygen deficiency at birth with her. No, like what else can you blame it on?
She's very tough and very, I was very surprised how, because you guys have known of each other, similar worlds, that she was very harsh of not letting you into the group.
I mean, I think that you read very well on the show.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say, I mean, you spoke briefly about your same-sex relationships on the show. As a member of the LGBT community, I really appreciate...
I'm the B in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean...
There's a reason.
I really appreciate that visibility, especially for a show that has almost no diversity. And it was just great to see. I mean, what did you feel like watching it back and sharing that? Like, what was that experience like for you?
Well, I thought the reaction, I was really disappointed in the reaction. I thought that anybody's sexuality, no matter what you are, I don't care if you're pansexual, whatever it is that you choose to love, it should be embraced and never criticized. And I felt like I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I felt like I was criticized because I did fall in love with a woman, and you know, it was almost 2 years that I was in a really amazing, loving, compassionate relationship. And it was the first time that I'd ever been in a relationship with a woman. And I thought that the way they portrayed it was just negative and scandalous. And when you think of, like, who's bisexual these days? Like Rita Ora, Kristen Stewart.
Everyone, you don't have
Yeah, yeah.
Like, literally everyone.
Yeah, yeah. And so I thought that they could have embraced it a lot.
I think that's a serious critique of the Real Housewives show.
For the show.
Because they are, of course, a lot of gay people watch and are fans of them, but when it comes to actual cast members or when homosexuality, bisexuality comes up, they get very nervous and don't know how to deal. So I just want to applaud you because I think you are the first openly queer cast member
Yeah.
of any Real Housewives
Yeah.
show.
I can
So whatever happens, you've paved the way, hopefully, for the next person to come out and just it be not a big scandalous deal, because it isn't.
It isn't, and especially in this day and age. I mean,
Yeah.
and that goes to show again to the sometimes with the housewives. You know, I mean, it's like loosen up. We are.
Well, it dates
in-
them a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Well,
and,
exactly.
and I think they should get
I'm
more with the
thinking,
times.
Yeah.
Kim Zolciak and Daniel Staub both had relationships with women, but the way they handled it was
Was
really disrespectful.
very
So
disrespectful.
you're right. It's like there needs to be some room for improvement in,
Yeah.
in franchise.
And that was the name of my first book, Room for Improvement.
Well, there you go.
Well, there you go.
Well, Barbara, thank you so much for joining us. This really was
you.
insightful.
Thank
We
you.
love getting to talk to you.
Thank
Everyone, make sure to pick up a copy of Heels of Steel wherever books are sold. We will see you all tomorrow, same time, same table. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.